Okay, guys, if you've been around a while, you know that I am so passionate about talking about sex. It is basically
That is true.
my favorite
topic. Favorite topic. A lot of times when Tiffany would be falling asleep really early or running out of energy, I'd be like, ooh, would you like to talk about sex?
And I'm like, I will wake up. Yes. I'm so passionate because I want every woman, I think in the church we don't talk about sex enough, and I want every woman to have a great sex life. And so James and I decided to save sex for marriage. And when we got married a little over 5 years ago, we started going on this journey to figure out how do we have a great sex life together. And today we want to share 3 of the secrets we learned, 3 secrets to having an amazing sex life. So welcome back to another episode of Life Advice that you do not hear in church. My name is Tiffany. This is my husband, James, and welcome and hit subscribe to see more videos like this. So let's get right into the 3 secrets. So top secret tip number 1 to having a great sex life is learn. And this comes with 2 parts. So part number 1 is learn about sex itself. I think like growing up in church, I never had a sex talk that I remember. Although actually I was telling my mom this, she's like, we did have a sex talk. We listened to some CDs together on the way to a college visit. And I'm like, I do not remember that at all. I think I blocked it out. And also I'd already broken up with my first boyfriend at that point. So like I kind of knew what sex was.
A little late to the party
a little late to the party. So even though I hadn't had sex with him, I knew what it was. So anyway, I think we need some real sex education, not just like wait till marriage, but like, here's what sex is. Here's how it works. Here's how, statistically speaking, it looks like in general for girls and for guys.
Yeah, and it's not just about how it is anatomically. It's like what makes it good sex, both for the guy and for the girl.
Right.
It's and how do you help your partner enjoy sex?
Yeah.
These are things you have to learn about so that you can figure it out together. It's not something that you can just figure out all by yourself without any resources. Just you and 2 alone in the bedroom.
I thought it would be so much more second nature like that. But I remember on our honeymoon, we were like, where's
that book? Where is that book? We need to consult the book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we actually created a course, if you're interested, called The Wedding Night Talks. It is everything we would want you to know about sex before your wedding. It's the nitty-gritty details to the emotional part to what to pack on your honeymoon, but in a non-awkward way. So
as best we could. There might be some awkward parts.
So you can find the link for that in the description down below, but definitely start learning together about sex.
And part B of the learning part is learning about what sex is like and what makes good sex for your partner.
Yeah.
Between biology and personality, I 100% guarantee you, your partner sees sex very differently than you do. And it's up to you to figure out what that's like and also how to make your partner feel loved.
Yeah.
Because feeling loved and having good sex go hand in hand.
It's true. Like, for example, for me, feeling loved, I am currently 9 months pregnant and chasing a toddler around the house and trying to work and trying to clean and etc. And when James comes home at night and he just walks in, he's like, how can I help? Like, can I make dinner? Can I take Natalie? What can I do? Like, that helps me feel so loved. If he just came home at night from work and like collapsed on the couch,
Which would feel great.
And just
really
like drank a beer and didn't do anything to help, but I'm still running around like a chicken with a head cut off, I would not feel loved. And then if he wanted to have sex, I'd be like, in what world are you living? I've been doing everything. So I think like it's just important to like realize like how do you help your spouse feel loved? And it's not just in the bedroom. It's not just that one moment. It is all throughout your days and lives. Okay.
Something I've learned is how meaningful it is to me when Tiffany initiates sex, because that tells me, hey, you're thinking about me and you're thinking, hey, would you like to do this? Because then I don't feel like the annoying guy who wants to have sex and his wife is working really hard already.
I always had this idea that like sex was just this like physiological need and almost like lust and just this want, but James explained to me one time, like, this is how, one of the ways I feel most loved by you is that physical connection. And I just had never realized the importance of it. As weird as that might sound, I didn't realize it was so emotional too for him.
Yeah.
Like if James never talked to me and had a real conversation, I would never feel loved. And if I didn't have sex with him regularly. Not saying there's a certain amount of times it's the right amount, but if we weren't connecting in that physical way too, he would have a really hard time feeling loved.
Yeah.
We have to communicate about that stuff so we know how to help the other feel loved. Because if you want to have a great sex life, you have to help the other feel loved.
That's true.
And that brings us perfectly to our second top secret point, which is communicate.
Communicate. Communicate. Communicate. So important. Before sex, during sex, after sex. I remember thinking for some time early on when we were married that it was not okay to talk during sex. And I'm not sure where that idea came from.
No noises, no sounds,
yeah.
just like...
Yeah, but it is so really important to just express yourself. And I also, on the topic of not talking, would never ask for sex because I was like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know if I should. Maybe I'll just hope, And it's so important to just learn how to be verbal and to say, I would really like to have sex tonight. What do you think?
Right.
And for Tiffany then to have the freedom to say, I think that we could do that, but I am really tired. What if we did tomorrow morning? You have that negotiation where it doesn't feel like, I'm being shut down, I'm not loved. Like you have to, and it takes a while to get there because initially you'll feel like, that person doesn't like when I do that. I'm taking it as a personal affront. It takes some getting used to that communication, but eventually you realize it's not personal. You're negotiating, as our counselor says. You're trying to figure out together what makes sense for both of you.
Yeah, and along those lines, I know of a lot of women who've never orgasmed or never really enjoyed sex. Not that you have to orgasm to enjoy sex, but they never got there because they weren't willing to tell their spouse what it felt like for them in the moment. So as they're going through the moment, they're not communicating like, oh, that really doesn't feel good, or wow, that feels so good, keep doing that. Like just those simple things, like you need to have the freedom to communicate that because you want to enjoy it together. You've told me like when you're enjoying it, it's so much better for me too. Like it's fun to be there together. And so that communication is key. And then the third and final secret to a great sex life is transitions. Life works in seasons. So when we were first married, we had a lot of sex.
Yeah.
It was very fun. We learned a lot.
It was something that we both really enjoyed doing frequently.
Yes. And then we got to this stage where, well, I'll just use now for an example. I'm 9 months pregnant. It hurts to stand up and it hurts to sit down. My body is in pain all the time. And I'm chasing around our little toddler all day long and trying to work.
So imagine, how frequently do you think Tiffany wants to have sex?
Exactly.
If you guessed pretty much never, you would be basically correct.
That doesn't mean that we never have sex. We still do regularly. And we have our rhythm, our weekly rhythm.
But it's different.
It's different, yeah. It's probably different for you too because I'm not as into it right now because honestly, it just hurts. It just doesn't feel good.
I'm also just much more tired than I've ever been. So
it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Because you come home from work and you jump right in. You are like, let me take Natalie, let me cook dinner. How can I help? And so we're both just going nonstop. And by the time Natalie's in bed at 8:30 at night, we were just like...
It's all we can do to just watch TV
and
stay awake for a little bit and then we're done.
Yeah. So it's important to just recognize there are different seasons of life and that's okay. I think we have all these expectations in our mind of what sex is going to be like.
And that it always needs to look a certain way.
Right.
And that if you are in a season where you're not having sex as frequently or one person isn't enjoying it, maybe there's an injury or something, that doesn't mean it's going to be like that forever.
Exactly. And I don't want it to sound like we don't like sex anymore. How to have a great sex life. Oh my gosh, we have no energy.
Not true. It's just our appetite and enjoyment and the way it is, it's different for us now.
Yeah.
And probably in 5 years, it'll be different again. And that's okay. We look forward to it. It's an evolving adventure.
It is. And that's just how to see it. Having a great sex life is you see it as an adventure that you're taking together. You learn along the way, you communicate a ton, and you embrace those seasons because if you see them with guilt, it's just going to bring you down. But instead, just embrace them and say, this is a season and we're going to love each other in it. So I hope these 3 tips can help. If you have tips you want to add to the list, please do. You can leave them in the comments. Love you, ladies. Check out the Wedding Night Talks and see you next week. Bye.